Hello and welcome to the Fundamental Podcast. If this is not your first time listening to this podcast, then you'll realize that there's been a bit of a change. The name has changed for this podcast, and this is the very first episode going under the new name, Fundamental. Now, I've done this in order to reflect a new direction and a more focused intent with what I'm doing in helping people to change the way that they think, feel, and act. Looking at ways that we can really target the subconscious patterns of behavior and patterns of thinking that we all have and often are not aware of, but that dictate our entire lives. And the purpose of this rebrand, if you like, is to make that message more clear. It's always been my intent to help people in the most powerful and impactful ways I can. And I think one of the ways that I can best do that is to make the intent behind everything that I do much more clear, much more concise, and much more focused. And this rebrand is in line with a rebrand across what I do, both in YouTube and my community and the coaching services that I offer, in order to really help people to change on a fundamental, foundational level. Because if you're somebody who's been struggling to stay consistent, this is something that I think we all face from time to time, and we all want to start a new habit. You know, we're coming up to the new year. It's not too far away, a couple of months away, and we've got New Year's resolutions coming up. Now, why is it that New Year's resolutions, for most people and most part, fail? Why is it that we can't seem to stick to the conscious choices, the conscious decisions that we've made? Well, the point or the problem is that when we make a conscious decision, we're not focusing on changing our subconscious ways of thinking, feeling, and behaving. And it's our subconscious that dictates our behavior. It's the wiring, it's the programming that we've inherited from our childhood, for example. All of these influences when we were growing up that dictate really how we perceive the world, how we interact with others, the things that the meaning that we assign to life, the meaning that we assign to events in our life. These are all impacted by the way that we were raised, the influences that we've had. And if we want to change the situation that we have in life, if you're growing a business or if you're wanting to lose weight, get fit, or get better in relationships, whatever it might be, if you're trying to make a sustainable fundamental change, then what you have to really do is, and this is what we are doing when we create a new habit, is to ingrain it into the subconscious. We have to get it past our conscious mind into the subconscious, where it then sits, and then we act on autopilot unconsciously from these sort of hardwired patterns and beliefs and values. And therefore, if we want to make those changes, that's where we need to be placing our focus. And there are tools and there are methods and there are ways of doing it that make sure that we really impact the subconscious and start to move away from patterns of belief and behavior that no longer serve us and adopt new patterns of thinking and seeing the world that are actually going to give us the results that we want in life. And that is what this podcast is for. It's really to look at because there's so many people out there, I think, that talk about surface level problems. We're always trying to treat the symptom and often forget that the symptom is just a symptom. It's not the cause. And if we don't deal with the cause, sure, we can stem the bleeding for a moment, but if you don't deal with the root cause of the issue, then those wounds are always going to pop up again. And I would rather focus on the root cause, stop the boat from sinking, stop the leak, instead of bucketing out water and hoping that we can kind of keep doing that long enough to survive. So yes, welcome to the podcast. This episode really is just to reintroduce the podcast and introduce this new focused approach. If you're new here, hit the subscribe button or follow button wherever you're listening. If you're interested in finding ways to really change yourself on a foundational level, if there are things that you do that you don't want to do, or if there are things that you really want to do but just can't seem to be consistent in, can't seem to get yourself to take action, then this podcast is really going to help you to address those concerns, address those issues, and start taking ownership, not only of your mind, but by taking ownership of your mind, of the way that you think, feel, and act, you take control of your reality. Because everything that we experience in our minds. And if we don't like the way that we're experiencing the world, well, it's one thing to go out there and try and change the world to fit with our perception of it. That can be very, very challenging because there's all of these other influences that we can't control. But what we can take ownership of and what we can control and train is our mind. And if we can get that right, if we get our minds on our side, then that's when life just starts to flow and it starts to feel fun again and enjoyable and less stressful. And we're able to go to the gym and it doesn't feel like a chore every day. And we're able to build a business and it doesn't feel scary or impossible. All of these things are possible when we get our mind in line with, or I should say, when we get our subconscious mind in line with what we want consciously. And we can do that. We just need to know the tools. We just need to go about it with the right approach, and that will naturally draw us in the right direction. We'll naturally start to really experience these results. That's what I've trained myself on. This is the question, the question of why is it that even when we know what we should be doing and need to do, we don't do it? That's the question that I've been really working to answer through the course of my life, really, and through training and things like NLP and psychology, philosophy. Well, I won't say I've got the answers, but I've got some things that have really helped me, and I'm sure will really help you if you're that way inclined. And I hope you stick around to listen and to see some of those things that might help you on the journey towards whatever goals you've set yourself. So stick around, and I can't wait to share these lessons, these insights with you, and we can all work together to start creating the lives that we actually want, as opposed to the lives we tend to settle for because we don't believe in our ability to shape reality to our will. So yeah, it's going to be fun. I'm really looking forward to be speaking to people on getting their expert insights into how we can do this, like, for example, a hypnotist and how we can change our subconscious through hypnosis, and it's going to be good. All right. Can't wait to share that with you. I'll see you in the next episode. Till then, peace.